Hey YouTube, it's your girl Denizy, and I'm back with episode 10 of Jocelyn's Cabaret season 4. And I know a lot of people have already checked out from the show, they're bored with it, but I actually enjoyed this episode, so please bear with me. And then after this week, we have two more episodes left, and I'm sure the reunion will be a lot of fun as well. Jocelyn is now out of jail, and I feel like the best scenes of this show is when she is actually in them. So somebody at Zeus needs to tell her that because I didn't sign up to see all of these NPC characters. I signed up to see her run her show. So this episode begins with Nurse Miss Wet Wet. And obviously, the nurse costume is to throw shade at Big Lex because she's going to need to go to the hospital after her beatdown from Jocelyn. And she marches in the room with her little first aid kit where Spin and Precious is at. And I just thought it was so hilarious. The face of disgust that Spin made when she saw Wet Wet. But I think Miss Wet Wet looks cute. Like, why is Spin looking at her like that? Is Wet Wet still musty? But honestly, I think these blue contacts on Spin is a little weird. But they get to talking about the brawl and they say that Big Lex should have known better than to show up to a place where Jocelyn is performing. Now, I don't know if Big Lex was invited to the event or not. Either way, she definitely has a right to be there because it's not like it was Jocelyn's concert and Spin is going to call her the headliner, which Jocelyn was not a headliner. Ozuna was the actual headliner, and Jocelyn was one of many openers. And then they get to talking about how Lucky went on live defending Big Lex. So they show us a clip of the live, and Zeus is going to blur her face like she wasn't on season 2, but they keep her name. Like, that doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. And that Lucky said that if she was there, none of that would have happened. And I'm not too sure what Lucky would have done to prevent this whole situation. Because to be honest, I feel like if Lucky was there to defend Big Lex against Jocelyn, it just would have been a double homicide. Jocelyn doesn't like you either, Lucky, and you just would have been jumped along with Big Legs. So the girls are bothered by Lucky's live and that Daisy was the one who was taking out Lucky's hair during the live. But they're gonna call Lucky and Daisy snakes for defending Big Legs. But my thing is, regardless of what Big Legs said about Jocelyn on the internet, she didn't really deserve to get jumped like that. If Jocelyn wants to fight Big Legs one-on-one and Jocelyn gave her a fair fight, then I would have no problem with the brawl. So for me, it's not much about defending Big Legs, but just going against the fact that she was jumped. And on a side note, Holiday and Precious, they did all that fighting in front of everyone just to sleep together anyways. Like, this is why I don't care for any of your love stories, because it's all just theatrics. Next, we have Holiday, Egypt, and T-Love at the table having a conversation. And throughout the whole thing, you can see on their faces a little bit of worry because they haven't heard from Jocelyn. They don't know if the cabaret is going to keep going. They don't know if they're going to keep filming or not. And they also start talking about Abby leaving. And I just don't like how T-Love starts insinuating that Abby left because she's intimidated to be in a house full of Black girls. Because I think it's pretty clear that, first of all, none of you would have dared to have beef with Abby and get into an altercation with her because she's not allowed to hit you guys back. And I'm assuming you guys wouldn't want the backlash of fighting with a transgender person. And Abby wasn't negative to anyone or giving any problems to anyone, so you guys would have no reason to come for her. Now, Abby did say that one of her siblings got into an accident, which I believe because if you recall from last episode, Abby was on the couch and she was clutching her pillow pretty tight, and there was just a look of sadness on her face. But y'all were too busy giving attention to Precious and Holiday to realize that Abby was sitting there depressed about something. So it's unfortunate that Abby left. I hope that we get to see her again, but obviously please go home and take care of your family and whatever else that you have to take care of. And T-Love is just such an NPC character to me. Like, she brings nothing but lies and drama to the show, so I can do without her. But my favorite girls are the ones leaving. Next, we have Lucky and Daisy having a conversation outside as Lucky is getting ready to leave. Lucky been said from the beginning that Big Lex was super supportive of her coming back to the cabaret. And I mentioned, I think it was either episode 3 or 4, like around there, that I felt that Lucky was implying that she's having financial struggles in her personal life. And I think that Big Lex, as a friend to Lucky, she sees that. So who would Big Legs be as a friend to tell her friend not to go get a bag? And Lucky did mention in one of her lives that she was able to call up the CEO of Zeus, Lemmy Plummer, and make a deal with him that she'd come back on the show for a specific amount of money. She didn't disclose with us how much that was, but Lemmy agreed, and that is why she is on the show. Now, Lucky also lets us know that Big Legs told her to pretend to hate her if Lucky needs to do so, which I do believe, and now I see why Lucky feels so loyal to Big Legs, because Big Legs just seems like a quality friend that you would want to have around, even if they met just a few years ago. Now, you can criticize the short amount of time that they've known each other for and say that that's not enough to build a friendship. But I know me personally, I have met a few people that we just instantly connected just like that. And we're still good friends, even though it's only been a few years. So sometimes that just happens. You can meet someone that you instantly click with and you guys treat each other very well. And that's true for friendships, relationships, co-workers, and I know because I've done it. Now, to Lucky's point that she's not loyal to Jocelyn because Jocelyn is not friends with anybody. And I understand what Lucky means because I mean, at the beginning of the season, you guys saw what she did to Raven and Diamond, who were supposedly really close with her, and the only girls that did her whole Vegas tour with her. So yeah, I do believe that Jocelyn isn't really loyal to anyone, so why should Lucky be loyal to Jocelyn? Because eventually I feel like if you spend enough time with Jocelyn, she will treat you just like she treated Raven and Diamond and Blueface Barbie and Chastity and whoever else I'm missing that was like friends with her from before. Except Daisy. Daisy has somehow managed to skirt through every single time. But even now, as I'm recording this video, Daisy and Jocelyn are getting into it on social media. So I'm Team Lucky on this situation. In this next scene, Daisy goes back inside and starts talking to Spin and Precious about Lucky leaving. Now, I agree with Daisy that she shouldn't have been the messenger. I feel like Lucky should have told the girls herself that she's leaving, but I understand that Lucky was probably afraid that the girls in the house were going to try to do something to her, but I don't think that these girls are the type to try to jump Lucky. I think they were just gonna take Jocelyn's side and talk a lot of mess, but I don't think they were actually going to put their hands on Lucky. And the girls don't seem to really understand that Lucky was there for her bag and not for Jocelyn. And that's why she was fighting so hard to stay on the show. Because, you know, you get paid per episode that you're there. And then Spin is going to say that Big Legs should be more appreciative of Jocelyn for giving her the opportunity, which is true to some extent. Like, if Big Legs wasn't on Jocelyn's Cabaret, she wouldn't have been on Now That's TV and have her own show on another network. But at the same time, Big Legs went viral because of her personality. Just Big Legs being on the show didn't give her that virality. Just like you girls being on this season is not going to further your career necessarily because you guys are NPC characters. I don't see you guys going anywhere. No shade. But, you know, for example, Daisy was on season 1 and she's still at the strip club 3 seasons later. Next, we get the moment that Jocelyn is freed from jail. And I think on the Breakfast Club, Jocelyn said that she was locked up for over the weekend, so from like Friday to Monday. So it wasn't really that bad. But she also tells us that she was on 23-hour lockdown. So the fact that they put her on solitary confinement for her whole stay, she must have been a nuisance throughout her arrest and her booking and that whole process. I've never been to jail, so I don't know what the whole process is, but she obviously gave them a hard time. So now that she's out, the 4 girls in Miami get flown back and they arrive at the house. And did you guys see how Andrea's face lit up when she saw Wet Wet? Like, Andrea's genuine happiness to see Wet Wet just made my day. I don't know why. But then it quickly turned south because then Yummy, Andrea, and Danny, well, it was mostly Yummy and Danny, but they start turning against Natural, which is stupid because you could have done that on the private jet. You could have did that at the arena during rehearsals, but you want to wait until you're in front of everybody else to start the drama, which is very messy. But Miss Natural, you were bullying the girls, and obviously they were going to explode back at you at some point. Now, Miss Natural claims that she doesn't recall bullying them, but we all saw it on camera. And Miss Natural, at this point, you're just coming off as a drunk and just no more drinking for you. And Miss Natural gets to calling them Inkum, Blinkum, and Odd. I didn't get the reference, so I looked it up, and this is what I found. Apparently, it's a nursery rhyme called Winkin', Blinkin', and Nod. And yeah, I see the resemblance. So later on in the day, the girls are scheduled for some studio time, and Jocelyn walks in through the doors with her little mugshot t-shirt, which I love, and I might have to get me one. But nevertheless, Danny is hurt, so Spin decides to take her place in rehearsals. And for some reason, Jocelyn is coming off very hostile to Spin for no apparent reason. She tells Spin to sit down, and you guys know I was rooting for Spin. She has the routine down, but I guess she just wasn't bringing the energy that Jocelyn wanted. But also, if I had to guess, I feel like Jocelyn doesn't like Spin's belly because Spin's belly is looking a little bit like Chanel's belly. It's poking out, it's very round, and I don't think Spin is pregnant because she's been drinking this whole season. So I think she's either like postpartum or she probably has a beer belly or maybe some other condition that we just don't know about. Either way, she's not pregnant, so I don't care. But Jocelyn replaces her with Egypt, and you guys know I don't like Egypt, and Egypt was already messing up the first steps of the routine, but whatever. Now Jocelyn also starts using all of the girls in the cabaret for their routine, and they each have their own different talents. So even if choreography isn't their strong point, they still have their own tricks that they can do, which would make the cabaret very entertaining. And it's definitely moments like this where they all come together that makes the show good. And this is what I want to see more of moving forward. And that concludes our episode. So the previews for next week: the girls go to a photo shoot and the theme is pink. And I'm looking at this photo and I don't understand why Jocelyn is getting so upset with Spin because Jocelyn's belly is also poking out in this photo and this dress looks horrible on her. And hopefully we get to see the girls' outfits more clearly next week so we can rate them. But already Yummy has the audacity to put this wig back on. Next, the girls are at Starlet's and they're rehearsing, and Jocelyn is putting the girls in check, saying that if they mess up, they're going home. And y'all can say what y'all want about Jocelyn, but she definitely knows how to get these girls to respect her and listen to her. Next, we get clips of the performance. I don't think that these I Love New York t-shirts were necessary. Yes, they're very iconic, but not appropriate for a cabaret. But I like what Jocelyn herself is wearing though. So this wraps up my review of episode 10. Next episode looks like it's going to be good. So we're getting back on track to ending this season on a good note. Of course, I'm excited to see what each of these girls bring to the table, and I'm sure this performance is going to be good. If you enjoyed my analysis today, please subscribe and leave a comment. You will get notified when I drop Baddies East episode 2. That will be my next episode, and I will see you then. Bye.